In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a project layering vinyl. I'm going to start in Design Space. I am going to click on New Project, and then I'm going to go over to the left and click on Upload because I'm uploading my own image. I'm clicking on Upload Image, Browse, going to my downloads, selecting the folder that I have my download in, and then selecting the image I want. That's the one. Now I'm going to click on Upload. And now I have to click on that image again and click on Add to Canvas. There it is. Okay, so to begin, I am going to make a bunch of changes to this image. I selected it and clicked on Ungroup so that I can make edits to each of the gnomes individually. Now I'm going to delete the gnome on the right because I'm not going to be using it. And then now the new right-sided gnome, I am going to change its colors to blue tones because my idea for this project is I want it to represent a boy and a girl gnome so that it's like it's me and my husband. I am keeping the same look to this gnome, but just changing it to blue, as I said. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting all the red layers right now and changing them to a dark blue, and then selecting pink and changing them to light blue. I did it one little piece at a time, just so that anybody who isn't familiar with the color palette or working with multiple pieces could see it done in repetition, but it can be done all at the same time. And how you do that is over on that right side panel, you just select all of the pieces that you want to change the color of. To select multiple pieces, you hold the control button down as you click, and then you can go over to the color palette and change them all at once. Okay, that's done. Now I'm going to do the bottom piece blue, and then I am going to move on. I did not predetermine before doing this recording exactly what I wanted this to look like, so you're going to see me messing around with the colors a lot. I am going to speed up the video here in just a minute so you don't have to watch all of that messing around because I don't want to bore you. What you can see me doing right here is selecting all the dark blue layers so that I can attach them together. If they're not attached when I go to make it, Design Space will arrange them on the cutting mat the way that it thinks that they should be, and I want it to stay in the exact same formation that they're in now so that when I put the gnome together, it's easier for me and I don't have to do it piece by piece. Alright, so moving on, what you can see me doing here is using the Color Sync tab to quickly move different pieces to different colors. This feature is really cool to be able to quickly change the color of multiple things all at once by simply clicking and dragging. The next step is to add a shape. The purpose of this shape is to give me a guide as I am stacking all of my layers of vinyl together after I have everything cut out and am ready to assemble. So what I'm going to do is have this triangle here to the right side of the gnome, and then I'm going to copy the gnome enough times so that I have every layer with that triangle attached to it and ready to cut. This process can be a little bit tedious and take some time depending on how many layers you have. where this gnome has multiple layers, it's going to take me a minute. So I'm actually going to speed up the video again so that I don't bore you. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking every single layer that is a different color of this gnome, and I am making sure that there is a triangle attached to that layer for when I cut it. Okay, all of those are done and ready to go. I'm going to click on Make It and then Continue. And now I'm going to select my device. And then select Vinyl as my material and then move over to the machine. I have my mat and all my materials laying here ready to go. So I'm just going to open up each of the colors that I'll be using. Turns out this first one that I'm cutting I didn't actually use. That was an error on my part. But every other color you'll see me cutting here I used. And I have pulled up on my computer screen next to me the size that I need to cut each of these out that I'm using as reference as I cut. And so I'm just going to let you enjoy watching me at a high speed cut out all of the little squares that I need, and then we will get going on cutting all of them. When I decided to make this project, I decided to repurpose some decor that I already have. So you can see here this little sign that I have. I'm just going to cut out a piece of cardstock really quick that will fit inside that I will use removable adhesive to adhere it so that once Valentine's Day is over, I can pull it out and still have this cute little sign available to be used as is. Okay, now that I've got it all cut, I'm just going to test it out really quick. It looks great, and so now I'm going to use my weeding tool to pull that cardstock back out, and we can move on to the vinyl. Okay, here I am putting my first square of vinyl on the mat and then loading it into the machine by clicking the blinking double-sided arrow and then clicking on the blinking C to start the cut. Now that everything is cut, I'm going to push my machine to the side and I'm going to weed each of the little squares of vinyl. For any who may not be aware, weeding means to remove the excess vinyl that will not be used in the project. So that's what you can see me doing right here. I'm pulling off all the big excess pieces and removing any of the middle pieces like those hearts that I don't want in my final project. For the sake of limiting repetition, I already put together the blue gnome and now I'm going to show you putting together the pink gnome. I've got my transfer tape and I am putting it over my first layer. I'm using my scraper to make sure that it adheres well to the transfer sheet before I pull off the backing. Okay, now this is where that shape in the corner is going to come in handy. I am using the shape as well as just generally eyeballing where all of the pieces should fit together, so I have multiple guide points as I'm doing this. Okay, she's all put together now, so I am going to put her on the cardstock next to our little blue gnome. I'm removing the shape from the corner real quick and then putting her down. I'm going to use my scraper again to get her really adhered well to the cardstock and off of the transfer tape. As I mentioned before, I'm going to stick it with just a little bit of removable adhesive. Please feel free to check out the description of this video for a list and links of all of the materials I used for this project.